Hello, I'm Helen Bradley. Welcome to this video tutorial. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can texturize backgrounds in Illustrator. In this video tutorial, we're going to look at adding texture to backgrounds in Illustrator. I've got a piece of text here that's been texturized, but also you'll see in the background of this image is a texture, and I'm going to show you how to find, download, install, and use textures inside Illustrator. To add texture to an illustration in Illustrator, you'll need something to add texture with. There are some patterns that come shipped with Illustrator, but there are also plenty that you can download on the web. You'll just want to have a look and find the ones that you want. I just look for free vector patterns, and these are vintage style patterns, so I can have a look through and see which one I would want to use. Now I'm going to grab one that I haven't done before. This is kind of cool one, so I'm going to click on it. In a minute we're going to see how to do the same thing with textures, but for now let's go and have a look at this pattern piece that we're going to download. Now it looks like a number of pieces come in this pattern set. One thing I'll be interested in seeing is if there are any hints for downloading and whether or not they can be used for commercial purposes. These two can be used for both commercial and non-commercial design purposes, so that's a really good option for me. So I'm going to click to download them, and they're being just downloaded here automatically. As soon as they're there, I'm just going to click to show them in the folder, and here they are in my downloads folder. I'm going to double click to open the folder and just have a look and see what I've got. Well, it looks like there's an EPS file. So I'm going to extract the files here. Just click on extract file and just extract them into a folder. Here's my EPS file. So for now I'm just going to close Chrome down because I don't need it anymore. I'm just going to drag and drop the EPS file into Illustrator. And I can close everything else. When the file opens, we can see the pattern swatches here, and here are a number of swatches, and all I want to do right now is to select these swatches from the swatches panel and save them so that I can use them elsewhere. So I'm just going to click the flyout menu and choose Save Swatch Library as AI, and then I'm going to give these a name. Now I like to put on the end of the name the fact that I can use them for what purposes. So I'm going to leave it called Floral VIP Pattern, but I'm going to also add commercial and personal, so that this means I can quickly identify whether a pattern is available for commercial use as well. So I'm just going to save that, and now I can close my EPS file. Now let's go and create a file that we're going to apply the texture to. So this would be the document that we actually want to work on. Now I'm working to a fixed size because I actually have a use for a document this size. So I've just created a new document, the point size that I want to be working with. We need to then go and open our swatches. So I'm going to click again the flyout menu on the swatches panel, this time open swatch library, user defined, and here is my floral VIP pattern. Here are the patterns, and I'm ready to add them to my illustration, but before I do so I need somewhere to put them. So I need to create a rectangle that is the size of my artboard. Now I could do that by just targeting the rectangle tool. Just going to get my toolbar here because it's all disappeared. Could go and grab the rectangle tool, and I could just drag out a rectangle the size of the artboard. But I have a handy script that does that for me, so I'm just going to run my script. If you're interested in investigating scripting in Illustrator, have a look out for my other video on Illustrator scripts, because installing scripts for use in Illustrator can save you a lot of time doing things such as repeatedly creating a rectangle the size of the artboard. You don't have to be able to do the scripting yourself. There are plenty of scripts out there that you can find on the web that will do this all for you. Now here's my rectangle. I've just selected it, and I'm going to add one of my patterns to it. So I'm just going to click on a pattern. And here is the pattern applied to that rectangle. So that's the beginning of my texture. But this might be too big a pattern. Well, if it is, I can just resize it with Object Transform Scale. I don't want to scale the object, so I'm going to turn that off, but I do want to transform the pattern, and I want to see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to start winding this down to reduce the size of the pattern within the rectangle. When it's the size I want, I just click OK. Now, this is all very well, but I would really like this pattern to be a blue color. Well, if I open the Appearance panel over here, I can add another fill, and I could blend these two together to get the blue that I want. I'm going to click here to add a new fill. And then I'm going to add my blue color. And I'm going to use this blue here. Now the blue fill is above the pattern, so it's blocked out the pattern. We can drag it below the pattern by just dragging it in the Appearance panel. Now we have pattern on top of blue, and it appears that the pattern has white in it because it's blocking out the blue underneath. Well, if you're familiar with using blend modes, you'll know that you can change the blend mode on this pattern layer to knock out the white. We're opening up the fill panel here for the pattern. I'm clicking on opacity, and this gives me access to blend modes. Blend modes like overlay, for example, allow me to knock out the white so that the blue below is coming through, but it's only coming through in the white areas or the light areas, not in the dark areas. Now, if I like this pattern effect, but I don't want the dark areas to be nearly so dark, all I need to do is to drop down the opacity. At 25%, it's quite subtle. At even smaller amounts, it becomes even more subtle. And at higher values, it becomes less subtle. So you just want to pick the point at which you're getting the result that you want. But using patterns as part of your fill and then using a fill color that you like and then blending the two together is a really nice and quick and easy way to get texture in your Illustrator documents. Now, Illustrator comes with a lot of patterns already available to you. From the swatches menu, you'll just go to Open Swatch Library Patterns. There are some dots, lines, and textures. There are also some decorative patterns here and some nature ones, animal skins and foliage. So they're all available for you to use, as well as whatever you can find on the web that has the appropriate license for how you want to use it. So much for using patterns. Let's go now and see how we'd find and use a texture. Now, so far as textures are concerned, again, you can go out to the web and look for free textures. This is a set of half-tone textures that I found. There are 5 half-tone textures in this file. So I'm going to go ahead now and download this file. And the download is now running. We'll come back when it's complete. Now our space textures are downloaded, so I'm going to open them and I'm going to just double click the folder to see what's in it. Well, it's just a single AI file, so I'm going to go ahead and extract that file. And once the folder opens with the file in it, I'm just going to drag and drop it into Illustrator and then close everything else down so that we can start working with it. Now this is a very large file and it's got a number of texture layers in it. So this is the background, and each one of these is one of these colored areas of texture. This is the blue, there's another blue area, and this is this sort of bone color. Now the one that I particularly like is, I think it's this red one here. The red one's pretty good, so we're going to use that. So I'm just going to target this layer here, and I'm going to create first a document for it to go in, and then we're going to copy this to it. So let's just do File, New, and create a brand new document. I'm just going to size that. I want this to be pretty small right now because I know that this texture coming in is going to be really big. So let's just go back to this texture file, go back to this layer, choose Edit, and then Copy. and then go to our new document and we'll just do edit paste. And here's our texture. So now I can close down my texture file because I don't need that any longer. I'm just going to size this window. I want the image itself to, or the artboard itself, to remain quite small because I want to see how much I've got here. Well, this is my texture and it's not going to go anywhere near to filling this document, so I'm just going to move it out of the way a little bit and then just scale it up. And then having done that, I'm going to make a copy of it. So I'm going to choose Object, Transform, Reflect, because I can reflect it and transform it and make a copy all at once. So I'm just going to reflect it over the vertical and just click Copy. And now I'm going to move this copy across to the right. And I can rotate that as well if I want to. I'm just looking at something that's going to give me an interesting fill for this background that I'm going to create. So now I've rotated it and I'm just going to move it into place. And then click outside. Now there's a lot going on in this texture and I'm a little concerned about the size of the document, and it would be really handy for me to get rid of the excess texture. So I'm going to do that now. But actually before I do, I'm just going to the first version of this shape. I'm just going to enlarge it a bit because I think I'm seeing too much repetition in this texture. So let's just try that first. Okay, that's looking a bit better. So I'm looking at the area that I'm going to be working with. Now I want to crop this. I want to get rid of the excess vector data. So I'm going to go back and create a new rectangle the size of the artboard. Again, I could have just drawn this, but I'm using the script to do it. I'm going to select my rectangle and the two layers beneath. And I want to crop this, so I'm going to the Pathfinder palette, which I can get to by choosing Window and then Pathfinder, and I'm going to click on Crop. And crop takes the topmost object, which is my rectangle that is the size of the artboard, and it crops everything else below that to that particular size. And it's going to make my file just a little bit more manageable in size. And here is the cropped object. You can see that there is no vector data outside the area of the artboard. Now I just want to go and find my layers palette, and here it is. Let's just open this up because we want to have a look and see what paths we have here. Now at the top, all the paths are filled paths, but let's go down to the bottom and we'll begin to see that we have some empty paths. These are paths that are the white areas in the image, and they're going to block us from being able to easily recolor this. And also, it's a lot of wasted effort having them in here because all they are is white. So I'm going to select just one of these. It doesn't matter which one, but as long as it is one of these empty ones. And then I'm going to choose Select and then go to Same, Fill and Stroke, and what that does is it selects every other area in this document that has no stroke and a fill. So that's all of these are now being selected. So I'm just going to press the delete key. And having pressed the delete key, what happens is that all those white areas, those empty areas effectively for this texture, are removed, and the only thing that we have left are now filled little paths, and that's going to neaten this up quite a lot. It's also going to mean that we can put a color underneath it, and we'll be seeing the color through these empty areas. They look white, but they're actually empty. So let's go ahead now and recolor this red. So I'm going to just select the entire group and I'm going to find a color to recolor it to, and I'm thinking this green here. So I'll click on that and then let's click away from the object, and here now is our green sort of half tone effect. I want to add a color behind that, so I'm going to add another rectangle the size of the artboard. Again, I'm going to just use my script to do it, but you could draw that yourself. Here is our rectangle the size of the artboard, and I'm going to fill it with a different color, this darker olive green. This path is above my group of objects, so I'm just going to switch the order of these two in the layers palette. And there we have a texture applied to a background in Illustrator. So let's just size that up a little bit. That's how we can use a texture file that is free, that we downloaded from the web, and make it ours in Illustrator. We copied it into the file, we cropped it to remove all the bits we didn't want, we sort out any of the white areas and just deleted those, and then we were able to fill what was left with a color and then add also a color behind it so that we could mix these two layers together. And at any time we can come into this path here and we can change it. We can change the color of it very easily by just selecting a different color, and every time we do that we're going to get a different effect for our textured background. There are a whole lot of things that you can do with textures and patterns in Illustrator, and they certainly help you create something that is a little bit more visually interesting than, for example, just a big slab of color. I'm Helen Bradley. Thank you for joining me for this video tutorial. Look out for more video tutorials here on my YouTube channel, and consider subscribing to my channel and you'll be alerted when new videos are released. And visit my website at projectwoman.com, where you'll find more tips, tricks and tutorials on a range of applications including Photoshop, Lightroom, Illustrator and a whole lot more.